Vijana Bhalabha Giribharadhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashimadhi Divine Grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Sriman Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees, oh, glories to the assembled devotees, oh, glories to the assembled devotees, oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonus, Chapter 67, Lord Balaram slays Dvivida, text number 24 and 25. Sabahutala Shankashau Musti Kritya Kapishwara Ashadya Rohini Putram Tabhyam Bhakshasyaru Rujat Sabahutala Shankashau Musti Kritya Kapishwara Ashadya Rohini Putram Tabhyam Bhakshasyaru Rujat Sabahutala Sankashau Musti Kritya Kapishwara Ashadya Rohini Putram Tabhyam Bhakshasyaru Rujat. Please chant. Sabahutala Sankashau Musti Kritya Kapishwara Ashadya Rohini Putram Tabhyam Bhakshasyaru Rujat. Sabahutala Sankashau Musti Kritya Kapishwara Ashadya Rohini Putram Tabhyam Bhakshasyaru Rujat. Saha, he, Bahu, both these arms. Tala, palm trees. Shankashau, as big as. Mushti, into fist. Kritva, making. Kapi, of apes. Ishwaraha, the most powerful. Ashadya, confronting. Rohini Putram, the son of Rohini. Balaram Tabhyam, the son of Rohini Balaram. And then Tabhyam, with them. Bakshashi, upon his chest. Arurujat, he beat. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dvivida, the most powerful of apes, now clenched his feet, and at the end of his palm-side arms came before Lord Balaram and beat his fist against the Lord's body. Text number 25. Yatavendro pitam dorpyam tyaktva musha lalangale yatra abhyarda yatkru Jatrab abhyardajat krudha sopata rudirambamam. Translation: the furious lord of the Yadavas then threw aside his club and plow, and with his bare hands hammered a blow upon Dvivida's collarbone. The ape collapsed, vomiting blood. Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. In Krishna, Srila Prabhupada writes, this time Lord Balaram became most angry. Since the gorilla was striking him with his hands, he would not strike him back with his own weapons, the club and the plow. Simply with his fist, he began to strike the collarbone of the gorilla. This striking proved to be fatal to Dvivida. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Roma Paswami Iti Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, this is the end of Dvivida Gorilla. As we covered that before, in his previous, times during the previous age in which he served Lord Ramachandra, he secured a boon from Lakshman that he will be killed by Lakshman and become free from the body of, the material body that he had. So achieve liberation. He wanted the same type of destination that he observed that Indrajit, the son of Ravana, achieved after being killed by Lakshman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he understood that and asked for that blessing, and now that blessing is being fulfilled by Lord Balaram. I mean, a good question is, Well, he knew that, right? He knew. He asked. They say you ask for, you know, um, a favor or a benediction, and you receive, a confirmation. Yes, I don't know. You Someone give you a gift, an inheritance or something, a grant. It's not that you're going to forget that, just like that. I mean, you know that you were the beneficiary of this great uh, um, gift. But there he is. It's like completely forgot. And, according to the um, can't remember which one of the scriptures was describing this particular um, blessing that he received. I think the Padma Purana or one of those. Uh, Lord Lakshman said that in my next incarnation, in Dwarpa Yuga, I will fulfill, your request. So it's almost, like he should be, I assume he should be waiting for that Lord to appear, you know. But in one sense, to be killed by the Lord, you have to be his enemy. You have to perform, the actions, and you have to have that. You have to create that type of, um, situation that you have to create. You have to be and perform this animical type of actions towards the Lord, and especially towards the Lord's devotees. So, in one sense, one may say part of the benediction of the Lord to fulfill the desire of Dvivida to be killed by him is that you forget. So you may be able to act, in that demoniac way. Because the reason that he fell, that is explained, that he fell into these demoniac ways of, acting, was because the reactions of committing Vaishnava aparat. And not just Vaishnava aparat, but actually blaspheming the personality of God, or deriding the personality of Godhead, Lord Lakshman. And because he did that, the reactions of those offenses um, were that he became vulnerable and he fell down into demoniac association. That was a reaction. And by that demoniac association, he took those demoniac qualities. So all these things have to happen, according to the one have to go to certain reactions according to the what we do. So we're accountable for whatever we do. Even if we're devotees, we're accountable. So Dvivida have to go through that, have to go through the falling down. And with that falling down, also within that arrangement, the Lord was going to benefit him by um, fulfilling the desire, because at the moment that he asked that boon, he realized, because when Dvivida committed the offenses, he was deriding Lord Lakshman. And when you deride, like Krishna uses that word in the Bhagavad Gita, fools deride me when I appear in my human form, because they do not understand that I am supreme. They think I'm just an ordinary living entity, like them. So, we can engage in some sort of competition. Like Krishna is powerful, but I can be as powerful as him. That type of uh, deriding in that way. But when you ask a boon, you are actually, acknowledging that someone has something that I don't have. Someone is superior to me. So Dvivida was able to understand, oh, not only Lakshman was able to kill this most powerful demon, Indrajit, but he have given him liberation. So he have enough understanding like that, so you can And he was devoted to Lord Ramachandra. He worshipped Lord Ramachandra as the personality of Godhead. So, so he's a devotee, and as a devotee, he will get the benefit, of that devotion. That always is there; it never goes away. Krishna tells us that even a small advancements that we make in that path of devotional service is eternally there. So part of the arrangement that he will be fully liberated and purified is of whatever propensity that span from not being aware or being, I won't say casual, but not being conscious about the effects that pride has, in the devastating effect that pride has in your devotional life. And as a matter of fact, in any type of devotional or material life, pride is a destructive quality. And so um, not being aware of that then causes, all these difficulties, obstacles in one's devotional path. So Krishna, ultimately, Lord Balaram, was to purify fully this devotee and give him liberation. So it is explained that Krishna tells us that the purpose of his coming to the material world every millennium is to reestablish the principles of religion in the world, to protect the principles of religion, to uplift Dharma. And in the process of uplifting Dharma, what does that mean? That he gives pleasure to the devotees, he eliminates, destroys the demons, and he reestablishes those principles in the world. Paritranaya Shadunan Vinashaya Chaduskritan, the Duskritan, the unpious, the demoniac people who are causing disturbance in the principles of religion. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So when this disturbance in the principles of religions that are caused by demoniac entities, then Krishna comes to reestablish that. So to eliminate the demons. So in the process of eliminating the demons, Krishna, the personality of Godhead, comes and comes not only personally himself, but who is personal expansion. So here's the incarnation or the avatar is Krishna Balaram. We see there next to Lord Ramachandra, and in between Lord Ramachandra and Lord Buddha, there is Krishna Balaram. So the personality of Godhead comes with that purpose. So we see that throughout Krishna's pastimes, Krishna, both Krishna and Balaram's pastimes, then all these demoniac forces were eliminated. And not only to the Lord's hands directly, but those who were instruments of the Lord, they also function as the means for the Lord to achieve the purpose of Vinashaya Chaduskritan, to eliminate the demons. So personalities like Arjuna and Bhishma and the Pandavas, they contribute to that. They were instruments of the Lord to eliminate these demoniac forces. So in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, many, it is explained that 600 million people died. Kshatriyas and soldiers, all. So all these kings got wiped out. And the wonderful thing is that they all achieved liberation, which is quite something. And this is one of the activities of the Lord that is completely glorified and constantly glorified in the prayers of so many of the great personalities that are recorded in the Srimad Bhagavatam that are offered prayers to the Lord. Very often this point is brought, that how wonderful is that even the enemies of the Lord, even people who were so anemical, so demoniac, they were able to obtain liberation. Some of them even, become associates of the Lord. Something that great saints and yogis and mystics are working so hard to achieve, that same type of destination a demon achieves. So what to speak of loving devotees? They always often send like that. So it's quite wonderful. So here's some of those prayers in the Bhagavatam. I pull out one that is Lord Brahma talking to Narada Muni, second canto. Narada Muni asked all these different questions to Lord Brahma. He wanted to understand transcendental knowledge and from Lord Brahma. So he asked many questions, and Lord Brahma started to answer. Among the questions, he started to narrate the wonderful activities of the Lord's different incarnations. And then he goes and explains this. He said, Lord Brahma speaking, all demonic personalities like Pralamba, Denuka, Baka, Keshi, Arishta, Chanura, Mushtika, Kubalajapida, Elephant, Kamsa, Javana, Narakasura, and Pondraka, great marshals like Shalva, Dvivida monkey, and Balbhala, Dantavakra, the seven bulls, Sambara, Viduratha, and Rukmi, as also great warriors like Kamboja, Matsya, Kuru, Srinjaya, and Keikaya will all fight vigorously, either with the Lord Hari directly or with him under his names of Baladeva, Arjuna, Bhima, etc. And the demons, thus being killed, will obtain either impersonal Brahmajyoti or his personal abode in the Vaikuntha planet. And then, here's what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on that particular verse. Some of these demons will obtain Sayuya and some will obtain Vaikuntha. Kara refers to Denuka. Darura refers to Baka. Ibha refers to Kubalajapida. Kuya means Narakasura. Kapi means Dvivida. Samiti, Salina means those who shine in battle. Pralamba, Denuka, Dvivida, Balvala, and Rukmi were killed by Balaram. Bhima and Arjuna killed the Kambojas and others. Pradumnya killed Sambara. Muchukunda killed Javana. The Lord did not kill them. Thus, their names are also mentioned in the phrase Bhalapartha Bhima Vyaja Huajena. They will obtain liberation by the Lord, who is also called Balaram, Arjuna, and Bhima. Subdued by him, the seven bulls will obtain liberation at another time, since they were animals. Among the demons, Pralamba, Denuka, and others will get Sayuya, and Paundraka, Dantavakra, and others will get Vaikuntha. This will be understood from the later statements. So, not only the Lord, but also the Lord, by his expansions, is fulfilling this great mission that he explains in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And but the wonderful thing of that they get liberated. So how is that they get liberated? And why they get liberated? In general, demons are supposed to be in hell. Krishna says like that for those in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He says that for those who have this type of propensity, demoniac propensities, he casts them into lower birth, into hellish life for long, long time. So how is that these demons are deserving these positions? The demons that are killed by the Lord, or by those who are representing the Lord, such as Arjuna and Bhima and Pradumnya, like that. So this is something very important. One of the things that we hear, and I'm going to read something from also quotes for that. The very important principle is that by being touched by Krishna or by the Lord, just that touch in itself purifies all demoniac or unwanted things. It purifies all that type of anarthas that causes that type of mentality, just by Krishna's touch. And there's another thing, because Krishna explains that whatever type of whatever your state of mind at at the time of death, whatever your mind is fixed, that nature you obtain. So therefore, always think tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Always think of me, Krishna said. Um, always think of me, Arjuna. So while doing whatever you do, always think of me. Because by always thinking of me, you will attain liberation. So one of the qualities of these demons that were killed by Krishna is that um, they died in Krishna's presence. And, you know, it's a very intense situation in which the absorption is, the person that is in front of you that you try and, fight very strongly against, but it's also, you're in that one-on-one type of confrontation and situation. So, so that type of meditation is there, or that type of situation is there. And because of that, then this is obtained. And this is something also that is being recognized by in different prayers. Here. Simply, this is in chapter 87 of the 10th canto. Simply by constantly thinking of him, the enemies of the Lord obtain the same supreme truth, whom sages fix in yoga worship by controlling the breath, mind, and senses. Similarly, we Shruti, so these are the prayers of the Shrutis of the Vedas personified to Lord Krishna. Similar, we Shrutis, who generally see you as all-pervading, will achieve the same nectar from your lotus feet that your consorts are able to relish because of their loving attraction to your mighty serpentine arms. For you look upon us as your consorts in the same way. And here's also, this is in the 11th canto, chapter 5, text 48. Inimical kings like Shishupal, Pandraka, and Shalva were always thinking about Lord Krishna. Even while they were lying down, sitting, or engaging in other activities, they enviously meditated upon the bodily movements of the Lord, his supporting pastimes, his loving glances upon devotees, and other attractive features displayed by the Lord. Being thus always absorbed in Krishna, they achieve a spiritual liberation in the Lord's own abode. What then can be said of the benediction offered to those who constantly fix their mind on Lord Krishna in a favorable, loving mood? So some of these demons, the ones who obtain liberation in Vaikuntha, they were much in a better situation because they were always thinking of Krishna. They were always thinking of Krishna. We hear about Kamsa, always thinking of Krishna. In this case, Shishupal and Pandraka and Shava. So Shishupal, we know that in his previous birth, he was Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. So Shishupal's, he and this is very interesting to this discussion because Hiranyakashipu was killed by Lord Nrsingadev. In his next verse, he gets killed by Lord Ramachandra. But none of this, um, none of this, none of this, in this situation, they did not obtain liberation. They did not obtain liberation. So, and the reason is explained that they didn't recognize, even when they were killed, they were covered and they didn't recognize, they were not fully purified. So the question is, okay, they were, if I previously said, when they get touched by the personality of Godhead, then they should be free. They should be fully purified. But they didn't. So some of the acharyas explain that Krishna is the actual giver of liberation. He's, you know, he is called Mukunda. And also it was part of the pastimes of the Lord. We know Jai and Vijay, they were cursed to have three births as demons. So it was part of Krishna's purpose. But one of the things that is explained is that Shishupal, it is explained that by his chanting constantly on the names of Narayan, he came to realize that Narayan killed him in his previous two births, so he became very animical to Lord Narayan. And then he recognized Krishna as that very same Narayan. So he have an understanding of Krishna's position, but he hated Krishna. So he thought on Krishna animically, but constantly. He was very Krishna consciousness, but in an inimical manner. So because of that, he obtained a Vaikuntha liberation. He went back to his position as the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. So it's something very interesting. Here's another quote. Let's see here. Oh, here's one interesting one. My dear King Yudhisthira, the gopis, by their lusty desires, Kamsa by his fear, Shishupal and other kings by envy, the Yadus by their familiar relationship with Krishna, you Pandavas by your great affection for Krishna, and we, the general devotees, by our devotional service, have obtained the mercy of Krishna. So regardless, if you connect with Krishna, constantly thinking of him, so it's recommended, just do it like that. And so to have that, and I just read a couple more and then stop in there. Here's from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita. That'll explain a little bit of the situation with Hiranyakashipu and then Shishupal. This is quoting a conversation between Parashara Muni and Maitreya. Hiranyakashipu could not understand that the wonderful form of Lord Nrsinga displayed by Lord Hari was actually Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu was pious. He was sure that Lord Nrsinga was very extraordinary, But because he was overcome with passion, he could not fix his mind on him. So here's the key. When he was killed by Lorna Sringadev, he could not fix his mind on Lorna Sringadev. He could not fix it. And it's explained that he was overcome by passion. But one of the understanding is like, okay, why? Well, it's part of the Lord's desire. These are, great devotees who were there to perform a service for the Lord in the form of demons. So it's a very special situation, but the principle is fix your mind. That's a liberating principle. Because he was personally killed by the Lord, Hiranyakashipu obtained extraordinary and rarely achieved sense gratification and opulence in his next birth as Ravana. Because he could not recognize Lord Nrsimha as Lord Vishnu, and because he was not filled with hatred for him, Hiranyakashipu was not fixed in meditation on the Lord. If without meditating on the Lord he had hated him, he would have gone to hell, as King Vena has gone. Because he was killed by the Lord's own hand, he obtained great good fortune. So here's the difference between the demons that Krishna says in the 16th chapter that he cast into hellish situation. The part that became purified is that at the time of his death, the hate was not there. The hate towards the Lord was not there. Therefore, he obtained the result of piety, So he obtained great opulence and like that, and not destined to hell for, that's what is explained. It's quite subtle things, you know, because he was killed by the Lord. And at the time of killing the Lord, his heart was not filled with hate. So that we can take just as information like that. Then he took birth as Shishupal and again obtained great opulence. Because in that birth he chanted all the names of the goddess of fortune's husband, Lord Narayan, he could understand that Lord Vishnu had killed him twice. For this reason, out of great hatred, he always chanted the Lord's names and criticized him in many ways. Gazing at the Lord's form, he became convinced that this was Lord Vishnu. Always and everywhere he remembered the Lord as he always chanted his names. In this way, the great flood of sins born from his hatred of the Lord became burnt up. When the Lord threw his chakra at the end, his splendor destroyed his demonic nature and purified his vision. Then he saw the splendid Supreme Brahman had human-like form. Then the chakra destroyed his demon body and he merged in the Supreme Brahman. It's quite nice, no? And so there is a lot of understanding of the destination of these great, great demons that are killed by the Lord. This is something interesting that appears in the Padma Purana. Nrsimha, Rama, and Krishna have the 6 qualities of Bhagavan in full. It does not mean that they are equal. It indicates that among all avatars, they are the best. So these 3 in general are considered the best. Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Ramachandra, and Lord Krishna. among the main avatars. Generally, these three are considered the best of all. Among them, however, according to the order, they are successively superior. Thus, Krishna is supreme. Maitreya asked why Hiranyakashipu was not liberated, whereas when he became Shishupal, he was liberated. Parashara explained the great power of Krishna in comparison with Nrsimha. Moreover, demons cannot attain liberation unless they meet Krishna. Other forms of the Lord do not give the demons liberation. That is indicated by the word Eva, repeated twice in the Gita. Then he quotes that verse from the 60th chapter. I cast those hateful, cruel, and lowest of humans, constantly doing evil, into repeated birth and death in the wombs of demons. Taking birth as demons, birth after birth, these fools not obtain me, go to the lowest position of son of Kunti. In some scriptures, it may be said that those who hate the Lord obtain liberation by the power of thinking of Him. But it is never said that all of the haters of the Lord are given liberation by avatars and their source, Vishnu. Thus, Parashara says that Krishna alone has additional powers for giving liberation to them. Previously, noting that the cause of liberation is meeting the Lord endowed with great power directly and remembering the liberation of Putana and others by Krishna, while worrying that Kalanemi and others did not gain liberation on being killed by other forms of the Lord. Parasara says that this is the most astonishing nature of Bhagavan known as Krishna. In a prose, he said at the end, quote from the Vishnu Purana, this Krishna glorified and remembered bestowed the rarest resolve to both devatas and demons, even by their connection through hatred, but to speak of giving result to those who are completely devoted. Okay, so just um, the just appreciating is something to understand and appreciate of the wonderful activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his pastimes, both Krishna and Balaram together, and how not only the protection of the devotees from all these demons and eliminating these demons, but actually the amazing power and the tremendous type of mercy that every single being that even is explained that even by hearing the activities of the Lord one's become fully purified. So it's quite extraordinary. So to just appreciate that. In this case, we come into the end of this demon and then more to come. Dvivida's end is described here, but also his liberation. Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for nice class, Prabhuji. It is seen that in scripture, and we just hear about the story of different demon. Uh, it is seen that great personality, when they are cursed by the great personality, like Jai Vijay gave the Jai Vijay cursed to Kumaras. Kumaras cursed to Jai Vijay, and they became the demon. And why they curse like this? Because by cursing this, that by being the demon, they harm other. They kill other, like Hiranyakashipu killed so many innocent people, like by being the Asura. Why such a curse given by great personalities? And it seems it's seen in also in the story of Chitraketu by uh, Parvati, and he became the demon like Britasura, and they she cursed Chitraketu and became demon like Britasura, and he harms all other innocent people. Why such curse give by such a great person?
Hmm. Yeah, well, the nature of the material world is designed like that. It's a world of duality, and in duality means that there is good and bad. And the reason we entities that are the spiritual entities that in a natural position we are in an absolute world, in a world that is uh, that is not governed by this duality. It's just pure goodness. It's just one thing, pure goodness. Um, then for us, pure goodness entities to be in a world in when there is not pure goodness, but there is good and bad, there's this duality, then it's a very incompatible situation. So in an incompatible situation, it's just hellish. It's not a place of happiness. It's distressful. So by by design, this world is a world in which we're going to suffer miseries. And those miseries are divided into three. Miseries that are caused by other living entities, miseries that are caused by nature itself, by the world, and miseries that are caused internally in our own, bodies and minds. So the demons have, a part to play in creating this very uncomfortable, troublesome, and incompatible arrangement for peacefully living our natural propensity of being blissful and happy. So, so they have a part to play. So demons exist here for that purpose. And then the thing is that the part that makes it difficult to understand, and that's something that has haunted uh, pious people or inquisitive people throughout history in the world, is to understand why this situation exists and why there is suffering. Ultimately, everything is to come to that question. You question, why am I suffering? Why do I have to die? Why injustice? Why all these things? When we come to that, the only answer that is there is provided by transcendental knowledge. With transcendental knowledge now, I'm seeing the big picture. Without transcendental knowledge, it's impossible. Then it becomes very confusing. Then is, you know, like your question, why a sage will create a situation to punish one individual that its existence will cause great harm to many individuals. It's that not only you cursing one, but now you're cursing thousands. You know, I mean, the type of harm that these demoniac individuals are cause, you know, is terrible. And so then, why a saintly person will do that? I mean, if you're gonna punish someone, you alone suffer. You get cast into some dark hole, and you can't get out of there. You just suffer there. So if we don't have transcendental knowledge, then it becomes very confusing. It's like, there is this famous books that this Jewish scholar wrote, why bad things happens to good people, and they can understand, because the question is, if God is all good and all powerful, then how is it possible that demons can exist? Or demons, well, not can exist, but how is possible that demons can harm those who have taken shelter of the Lord? So if the Lord allows the innocent to be victimized by demons, then he is not all powerful. Oh, so either he is not all powerful or he is not all good. So if he allows it and he's all powerful, then it means that he's not all good. It means that he's callous. Yeah, let them deal with that. I don't get involved. And if he is all good and it happens in his watch, means that he can control it, means that he's not all powerful. So then, what kind of God? If you're not all powerful and all good. So it's very difficult to understand. But transcendental knowledge gives you the understanding that the Lord is all good and all powerful, and his devotees are all good and all powerful. And when you have the situations of demons, there's a purpose for that. And the big picture is that people who have to suffer under demons is because it's the reactions of their choices. Like, in many circumstances in which demons have to, the devotees have to suffer, the devatas have to suffer, is because they were overcome by some pride, or they became careless about some things, and they committed offenses, you know. So, so then there's a big picture that we just don't see. And everything is organized in such a way that the suffering that people have to go through will bring them to a higher position of consciousness by ordeal. So at the end, everybody benefits, even including the demons that either by their punishment, if it's their punishment is granted by material nature, that they have to go to many hellish situations and punishments and suffering, or if they kill by the Lord himself, they regardless they will benefit. So there's a big picture in the whole thing, and then that we have to understand. We only finished. You have something for Shaj?
That's explanation of Shishupal chanting the names of Lord Narayan and becoming aware that actually um, the very name he's chanting is the personality, is none different from Lord Vishnu, and that's the same personality that was responsible for his death in 2 previous lifetimes. Still led him to continue chanting the names of Lord Narayan, or was it just that there's the same continuity of behavior? So when he is actually dealing with Krishna, he's also understanding the connection with Lord Vishnu in the same habit or propensity, you can say, to decry Lord Krishna manifests himself in his 99 insults to Lord Krishna.
Yeah, the the animosity. I mean, the quality that he's described, that he, that is part of his being, is envy towards Krishna. So he was envious. From the very birth, he was envious towards Krishna. He was a cousin. So he was related. And terribly envious towards Krishna. And the animosity was sort of grew when he realized, that Vishnu, he came as a realization that he was killed in his previous birth. It doesn't explain sometimes, these great personalities, they have access to powerful sages and brahmanas who were able to tell you your past and future life. So like say Gargamuni, and Gargamuni was the priest of the Yadus, and Shishupal was within that um, you know that dynasty. He took birth within that dynasty. And so one assumes that he also was informed, or either by realization or by information, that he was killed by Lord Narayan in his previous two lives. So that combined with his envy, this is my enemy. Same, like, in the previous life, Hiranyakashipu was fixed on Lord Vishnu as the enemy. A demigod is an enemy. So, same Ravana also, Lord Ramachandra is an enemy. So yes, so he came to that realization. He came to that realization, and that realization transformed because he could recognize, oh, Krishna is Vishnu. He is the enemy. And his constant meditation on Krishna due to envy and that he is the enemy was, in this constantly thinking of Krishna, but in an inimical way. As the enemy, as someone that he envy. He don't, he. So, yeah, that much. Okay, thank you. Grantara Sriman Bhagavatam Ki Jai.